Hi, John Morgan here with Bulbs Marketing Greenhouses. And in this video, we're going to take a look at caring for African violets, also known as St. Paulia. African violets make a great choice for somebody just getting started with houseplants. As the saying goes, if you're comfortable, they're comfortable. They love temperatures around 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and as long as you give them bright, indirect sunlight and also keep them well watered, they'll be happy. One of the first things you'll want to do when you get your African violet home is transplant it into something other than the plastic container it came in. In this case, I'm going to go into this larger pot to give it plenty of room to grow. A good saying to remember with African violets is wet feet, dry ears. So what I'm going to do is use some paper towels to make a wick. And what this is going to do is when I set the pot in a tray of water, it's going to soak this wick and pull moisture up into the soil. So for my wick, I'm just using some paper towels. But you can use scrap newspaper, or some people prefer cotton cloth. I've found though that the paper works great, and it's also biodegradable later on if I want to add it into my compost. The next thing that I want to do is kind of get everything started as far as getting moisture into the pot. So I'm going to use a spray bottle to wet my wick. Now, it's important that you don't use a spray bottle on your African violets. Moisture on the leaves is a no-no. That'll cause spotting on the leaves, and it'll also damage leaf tissue, especially if the water is colder than air temperature. Alright, so now that I have my wick wetted, I'm going to start adding potting mix. And just as I did with the wick, I'm going to spray the mix down to start getting it wet. Alright, now when it comes to planting this, you just want to very gently squeeze to loosen it up. And let's see, we've got a dead bud there. And very gently pop it out. And this is nice and moist on the bottom, but dry up next to the surface, just like we want it. Now we can see, need to add just a hair more soil. Another important tip when planting something is to make sure that you have enough potting mix. I just ran out. Luckily, I have an entire greenhouse next door, so I was able to go get some. And don't worry if when you're planting it like this, if you get some soil on the leaves, you can blow some of it off, and also just over time it'll work itself out. You just want to, I like to use my thumb. You just want to go in and pack around it and make sure that you've got packed in nice and tight. Roots don't like air. Alright, so now that we have our African violet planted, we want to take care of giving it a water source. Now, there's a few different options. I just used a classic pot to plant mine in, but self-watering containers where they have a water reservoir work great for this. For my pot though, I'm just going to use one of these cheap, clear plastic trays. So I'm going to make sure that that wick that I made before, that it's kind of down and fluffed out. That way it's in contact with the bottom of the tray. And then an important thing when you're watering your African violet, you never really want to water it from the top because that'll chance getting the leaves wet. Another important consideration is your water. You want to make sure that you use room temperature water and that it doesn't have any chlorine in it. I used filtered water and I let it set out overnight so that it's at the same temperature as the room. When it comes to fertilizing your African violet, we recommend J.R. Peters' Jack's Classic African Violet Fertilizer. It's a water-soluble plant food with micronutrients. Just be sure to use it according to the instructions on the package. For this and other great information, visit us online at bobsmarket.com.